Hello. Welcome, you guys, to Wind Down Wednesday. I hope you can hear me out there. Y'all know it's Gemini season. Hello. Shout out to all the Geminis that may be watching. You know, it's our time. And I've been having a time. I hope you guys been too. I've missed you all. I've missed being live with you guys on Wednesdays. I was off for a couple weeks. I had a lot of graduations and I was doing some traveling and just getting some things ready for the summer, some different things that we got going on this year. So it's just exciting to be here with you guys again. I missed you all, and I'm so happy that you're tuning in and you're here with me. So it can't be a wind down Wednesday without the drinking of our wine. So, and first, I want to talk about my glass, right? So, in honor of Gemini season, I have my Gemini glass. I hope you can see it. This Mercury girl is adventurous and charming. I'm a social butterfly. Can you keep up with me? Talkative and spontaneous, and I'm learning to be more focused. This is my Wind Down Wednesday glass for today. And this is by I'm a Gemini, my love sign. Just so you can see, they have all kinds of, you know, different glasses for your sign. But this was a gift. Thank you. And I love it. So welcome to Wind Down Wednesday. And so we're gonna get straight to it. I don't know what you sipping on, but this is what I'm sipping on today. So I got some Pacific Fruit Vineyard. This is actually a very good, inexpensive wine. I love the wine section at Aldi's, right? And I like Aldi's. A lot of people don't shop at Aldi's, but I love Aldi's because it is like the Trader Joe's of Germany. If you lived in Germany, it's like their finest or their top. It's like their giant eagle, basically, right? So but it's the same company as Trader Joe's, right? And so a lot of their wines are very good. They're chocolate, their wines, they're German, so they're really good. But if you just want a nice wine for the summertime, just chilling on your back porch, doing your thing, this would be like a very good wine to try. There's a lot of different flavors. My personal favorite is the sweet peach, but they have strawberry, they have pineapple, blueberry, they have like some really good wines, and it is for an inexpensive wine, y'all. It's pretty potent. It's 9% alcohol, which is really good for a wine. So I'm going to be drinking on this. If you get a chance, you shop at Aldi's, I would say try this wine because it's really delicious. Mm-hmm. Y'all hear it. So, I have been traveling, you guys. So, I was off for a couple weeks. I was out of town and I was doing my thing, and I'm just happy to be back in the swing of things, and we just gonna get straight into it. It's been a lot going on. So today I want to talk about some of the different things that are going on in our society, some current events that are happening right now in our city. And I don't know if you've been on the Cleveland, if you're from the Cleveland area, if you've been on the Cleveland Remembrance page, it just appears that the city is going wild, and it's so sad and it's so heartbreaking because it's just been a lot of death amongst young people, a lot of killing, a lot of murders, and it's like, what's going on in the city? And I just wanted to come on here and talk about it recently. And you know, we're at whatever city you are in and wherever you're listening from, this is more of, in my opinion, a United States issue. You know, we're violent, we're a violent country. We don't seem to care enough about one another. We don't seem to care enough about our youth and our children, and we're not investing in the young people of our community in the way that we should. And it's rather sad, and you see the ramifications of this right now in our society today. So if you've been on the Cleveland Remembrance page, if you've been paying attention what has been happening over the last week or two in the city, it was just death after death after death. And one of the individuals that was murdered was a friend, a close friend of my son's. And my son is very heartbroken. My condolences to the family. Um, and I don't want to mention her name in order to, protect their privacy because they're grieving at this time. But I just would say that we have had so much violence in our city recently. And it's been particularly a lot of young people, our youth, committing these crimes. And today, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but it's been the mayor of Cleveland basically got on and he was asked about what's going on, what are you planning on doing about all of the violence that's going on in the city. He's pretty much been silent, and it's a lot of people that have been talking about it, like, where is the mayor, what is he doing, why is he not talking about the extreme amount of violence that's going on right now in our city? Why is he not talking about it? Why is he not being more vocal? And so he held a press conference and he talked about it. And one of the things that he talked about was that he feels that, and he's talked about it with the prosecutors, that they're being too lenient on repeated offenders. I'm going to say it again. He stated that he feels like the judges of Cuyahoga County have been too lenient with repeated offenders. And, this is like a really sensitive subject because on one hand, I do believe that people should have the opportunity to learn from their mistakes and move forward from them. You shouldn't be held accountable for the mistakes that you made in your past. But when you have someone that is constantly making the same mistakes over, it's not really a mistake anymore at this point. It is a choice. And in our community, especially amongst our young people, we are having constant repeat offenders. There's a lot of cars being stolen. It was just a video I seen where it was like almost like a empty lot full of stolen cars that were parked on this in the central area. And it's like, what is going on and what is being done about it? Like, I know firsthand somebody tried to steal my car, jack me for my car while I was in it in my neighborhood. And it was a young person, and I was able to pull off, and they actually went and stole someone else's car that had got out and ran into the gas station, right? And so during this time frame that this happened, the crazy part about it is that the young person who committed this crime, right, had done this before and pretty much received like a smack on the wrist, right? Because if you steal a car outside of murder or having a gun spec, you pretty much are going to get probation in the juvenile justice system. And that's how it's appearing, unless you have, you get a certain amount of points and then it's something different. However, we have these young folks that, because they know that they're not going to really have a severe consequence, they are stealing, but they're also being put up to doing this type of behavior from the adults in their life. And so one of the things that Mayor Bibb said is that he feels like we need to be more strict. The judges in Cuyahoga County need to be more strict. And my thing, I just want to take it a step further and say, maybe we need to start holding parents accountable for the actions of their children. Now, in some instances, you might have a child who is disobedient the parent has no control over that child, then there has to be something in place that we put in place to get a handle on the children that are out here running amok, killing people, no value for life. We have to do something different, and we're not doing what we're supposed to do. And I'm sorry, but if you are a parent, you are accountable for your child until they turn 18. And then it is no longer your responsibility. But if you're a real parent, it's always your responsibility. You're always being mindful. Now, mind you, if your child is over the age of 18, you do not have the same type of authority over that child as you would if they were a minor. But if you raised your child in the way that to be respectful to you, if they have any respect for you, then it would seem that you would have some type of influence over your child. But it was just an incident where it was a man, a pillar of our community, a good man. He worked in a lot of different daycares. He was a driver. He was a landscaper, and he was murdered in his home. The child that murdered him came from Columbus to Cleveland, and then killed a man in Cleveland, and then was apprehended in PA. I don't understand how your child is missing from Columbus, from Cleveland, and found in PA days later, and you're unaware of where your child was at. Where is the accountability? Where is the accountability for the adults in this child's life? There has to be some accountability. We cannot just allow parents to get away scot-free and not be accountable for their children. You should know where your child is at. You should know the actions of your child. It is your responsibility as a parent. It's yours. It's your child, your responsibility. We have to do something about it. And I just feel like, in my opinion, if we were holding parents accountable for their actions of their children, in some instances, it would stop a lot of the things that are going on today. I hear parents say, and I mean, I know it's frustrating raising a teenager, especially a hard-headed teenager. I get it. But there has to be a level of accountability. And I'm not just saying on the mother, but we have to make fathers accountable too, even if they are not active participants. If paternity has been established, if you have been a part of this child's life as a male, you should not be able to just walk away from the responsibility of your child just because they're acting up and they're out of control. No, somewhere along the line, there should be some things put in place in order to hold parents accountable for the action of their children. And if we don't, we're going to keep seeing this type of behavior because there's no accountability for the children. I mean, I'm at the point like I'm saying, hey, okay, we putting ankle monitors on children. Maybe we need to ankle monitor these kids to their parents. I'm gonna sip on that. Maybe we should make it where it's some type of notification that goes out if that child is more than 100 feet away from their parent. I mean, we have to be creative with these punishments when it comes to some of the issues that we're having with our youth. We have to do something different. I mean, it's like kids are not even having the opportunity of growing into adults, of actually even making mistakes and being children. It's sad. It's very sad. And if this is what we have to look forward to, I mean, if this is what we're leaving our legacy to, we're in trouble as a nation. Everybody is, and I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that I feel like a lot of people this has become worse since COVID. When you have dealt with so much uncertainty, anxiety, stress, compassion fatigue, right? Which is basically when you are the caregiver for everyone in your life and you are overwhelmed and overstressed because it is your responsibility to take care of everything with your family. And that is a lot on one individual. That is a lot when you have to work and you have to take care of, if you have a child with disabilities or you have children with behavior problems, or if you have, just a lot of stress dealing with your job, if you're a first responder, if you just are the caregiver of your elderly parents or a person who has mental health or disability. These are really high stressful lifestyles, and you could suffer from compassion fatigue. And a lot of times it may seem like PTSD, but really it's just about taking the time to have self-care, taking the time out to put you first. You are no good for anyone else. I'm just going to say you are no good for anyone else if you're not first taking care of yourself. So you have to take care of yourself. But back to it, like everybody is suffering from anxiety, and we talk about the anxiety that us as adults are suffering from, but our children are a reflection of us and the anxiety and the craziness that's going on in this world. And we're not even looking at or addressing the PTSD that some of our children are dealing with, the anxiety for being caregivers. It's children, teenagers who are suffering from compassion fatigue or anxiety for being the caregiver for their siblings in their household. They're coming home, cooking dinner, taking care of their siblings, getting them up, getting them ready for school. They can't even be children for the fact that they're taking care of their siblings. And I'm not talking about a teenager. Sometimes these are 10, 9, 8-year-olds taking care of 3, 2, 1-year-olds. It's completely and totally unfair, but it's happening in our community and we're not addressing it. We're not addressing the fact that our children went through COVID with us. They experienced the loss of family members. They experienced the uncertainty. They were the ones moving around, being moved from their homes or being evicted from their homes, not having enough because parents were laid off or jobs were closed. Our children suffered with us, and we're not taking into accountability. And now we're dealing with the ramifications of that in our society, and we're seeing it every day. I'm just gonna sip on that. We have to start addressing some of our issues. We cannot expect Mayor Bibbs to be completely and totally responsible. Not saying that he's not responsible, not saying that he should not do something about it and that he should not be addressing some of these issues on a larger institution scale, looking at the institution and the judicial system right now in Cuyahoga County. Yes, that's something that needs to be addressed. However, it's just not all on him. We have to be accountable as parents. It's too many times that I see young children walking around at 10, 11 o'clock at night. Why? Where is your mom? Just the other day, my daughter and my niece were at Burger King, and it was 2 kids, maybe 6, 7-year-old children, riding their bikes, unattended, no adult supervision. They're riding their bikes. They got lost and couldn't find their way back home. The one child, he's bleeding because he must have fell or something must have happened, but he couldn't find his way back home. Neither one of these, they went strayed too far, but no one was looking for them. My niece and my daughter, they called 911 and said, hey, we're sitting here with 2 children that are unattended, and the child said he doesn't know how to get back to his house. He was out riding his bike. Why is a 6 and a 7-year-old child out riding their bikes by themselves in a busy downtown area? Why? Of a city? Why? That is ridiculous. It is no way that your 7-year-old and your 6-year-old should be unattended. Now, my daughter and my niece sat there with this child for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes before the police actually got there, and they were talking to the children first before they even decided whether or not they were going to call the police. But why? Why is this okay? Why is this happening? And I see it everywhere. It's not just one community, it's a lot of different communities. We don't live in the same society that we used to. You can't have your children unattended. It's not safe. It's really not safe. Not to mention, children unattended are running havoc. They're doing a lot of different things because there's no parental guidance. I'm going to sip on that. I remember at one point in time, when I was like my last 2 years of high school, they start giving truancy tickets because it was a influx of kids skipping school, being found in the community that were doing things that they didn't have any business doing, right? The city of Cleveland, they decided they were going to start giving truancy tickets, and they were going to start making parents come to court, and they were going to start holding parents accountable for their children missing school. And they start giving out fines for their children missing school. I don't think that's such a bad, and it actually lowered the truancy issues in the city of Cleveland. Parents, when they start being held accountable for their actions and the things that they were doing, and their kids not going to school and them not being aware of where their kids were at, when parents start being held accountable, they were angry and they were upset, and they start doing something about it. I feel like that same principle would be effective when it comes to the judicial system. If we start fining parents for your children, yes, we might put the child on probation, make that child go to counseling, make them do some type of programming that will help them, not get into the same trouble, some type of redirective type program that would be beneficial, but make that parent also accountable for them. Fine that parent. For your child keep getting in trouble, they keep doing the same thing over and over, then we're going to start fining you for your child being out past curfew. We're going to start fining you for your child getting in trouble in these streets, and there's no accountability. We have to start holding more than just the children accountable. We have to start holding parents accountable. These are your children. You shouldn't be able to get away scot-free, and your child is out here terrorizing our community. It's not fair. If we start making the children go to diversion programs and make the parents participate as well, and start making parents take parenting classes, because just because you can give birth to a child does not mean that you actually are a good parent. And that's no judgment, but sometimes we do need parenting skills or to sharpen our parenting skills, and that's okay to ask for help, but we have to start having some type of accountability that's bigger than just the children, because just holding the children accountable and not holding the parents accountable, the city is going crazy. It's running amok. The teenagers, the young people in our community, they are running amok, and there's no real consequences because it's really not enough room. It's not enough room. Parents are like, I don't want them anymore. And I think that's part of the problem as well. When you look at the dynamics, anybody that know, I used to work for Children and Family Services. One of the things that I saw a lot happening was parents bringing their kids to the county saying, I can't deal with them no more. They're hard-headed. I want to give my rights away. I don't want to, take care of my child no more. They too hard-headed. Y'all deal with it. Put them in custody, right? Because they frustrated and they're overwhelmed. And I get it. Because sometimes some of the things and the problems that parents have to deal with concerning their children is a lot. So I'm not judging on that in that area. However, there has to be some type of accountability for the parents. You should not be able to just walk away and bring your kid down to the county and say, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. You shouldn't be able to do that, especially when it's a teenager that is unruly. No, we should put some things in place and we should hold those parents accountable. You created this. I'm just saying, a lot of times we create some of these problems. We can't just say that it's just, oh, it's just the children. Yes, sometimes it is, but not all the time. Sometimes parents have to take accountability for what they created and what they allowed to go on under their watch. And in that accountability, you have to deal with it. You can't just walk away from it. And I'm talking from a place of understanding. I did not have, I went through it. I raised teenage boys, so I get it. But you have to stay accountable as a parent. You can't just allow whatever. You have to pull on your resources. You have to put things in place to stop some of this behavior. And if we don't, it's going to be a really terrible summer. We're going to lose a lot of children and a lot of innocent people. The girl that was killed at the club, she was an innocent person. She was a phlebotomist on her way, working, handling her business to go out and have fun with friends, and was in a situation where she was killed. Come on now. Too many young people we got 15-year-olds, 2-year-old, 3-year-old kids getting shot. We got 10-year-olds carrying guns. And I haven't even touched on the human trafficking issue that is going on. I mean, it's so much. But we have to do better, and we have to start holding our parents accountable. We want to blame the mayor. We want to blame government institutions. But that's part of the problem. Everybody wants to place the blame, but nobody wants to take accountability. When are we going to start taking accountability? I'm just saying, think about that for a minute. How can you take accountability? How can you better service your community? It takes a village. When I was growing up, and I've said this before, people have heard me say it many times, but when I was growing up, I grew up on Crawford Road in Cleveland, Ohio. When I lived in that area, it was very much a community. I couldn't act up without my parents being called. I couldn't be down the street running amok, doing stuff I ain't had no business doing, and my parents not find out about it before I got to the house. They were going to knock. If another parent, and even if my parents, seen a child doing something they ain't have no business doing, they were going to contact their parents and say, hey, I seen John down the street acting up. He was doing such and such, and I'm bringing him home. I'm letting you know he was down here doing whatever. But they would tell, and there was accountability. Where is the accountability? And for lack of a better term, I mean, we just been some punk ass parents, and we've been doing some punk ass parenting. Let's just keep it real. Where are our resources? And yes, we have to work. Yes, we have to go to work, but we need to have more. Even though before we look at it on just the institution side, we have to first be accountable in our own households, with our own family and our own community. We have to first start there. Then we can look at some of the different things that we need in place. And then we can advocate for those things that need to be in place, like community centers, rec rooms, different activities that used to keep kids busy. We have so much violence in our community and it's so much going on. The rec centers, they don't even want to be staffed. They don't even want to work anymore because it's like they're scared for their lives, because you can't even correct someone in the community when you see them doing wrong anymore. How did this happen? How did we get here? How did we get here? How did we get here? Think about that for me. How did we get here? When I was growing up, it was a certain level of respect that you had to have. And I'm just saying, it was gangs. When I was growing up, but they had rules. They had certain codes. They had a certain ethic that you had to have. You couldn't just be out here. You couldn't mess with nobody's parents. You know, it was a code to the street. It was a street code. You couldn't just go kill a grandmother, or you didn't hurt kids. You wasn't going to catch no children in a crossfire. We weren't doing all of that. They weren't doing all of that. It was certain. If you knew, you couldn't run up in the house and you knew that grandmother, all she did was go to church and she ain't had no clue of what her grandson was out here doing. You just didn't bother people that were elderly. It was a certain amount of respect. And it was the gang leaders who kept that respect in place. They did. Nowadays, it's no morals. Everybody has lost their sense of morals. Why? Why is that? Why are we living in a society where we don't have any morals and no accountability? So, I'm just going to say, before we hold Mayor Bibbs accountable for all that's going on in the city of Cleveland, and I'm not saying that, yes, I do feel like we need to have some type of diversion programs. We need to have different, programs in place. Maybe if we had incentives where children can actually get out here and make money and learn a trade, learn a skill that would keep them off the street. If we made it obtainable for different things that they want, because they're doing some of these things because they have desires that they want and that they don't have the means to obtain. That's why they stealing cars. That's why they selling drugs. So if we address some of those issues, yes, and that is for Mayor Bibbs to address. But if we address some of those issues, then maybe we will see a decline in the violence that is happening in our community. There is such a sense of disconnect from the world. People just don't value life. And I think that a lot of that comes from being closed off. When everybody went in the house for COVID, they disconnected from the world. They disconnected from reality. All of their social interaction became either media over the internet or social media or news or TV. And we stopped actually being connected as human beings that are physical. Everything became a video game and an interactive. Nothing was real anymore. And we have to get back to a place of just being real with one another, a place of just being accountable to one another. I mean, it's absurd what we're dealing with in our community. We should not be burying children. We should not be burying. It's been way too many deaths for young children. Where is the value of life? Why are our children not valuing life? And it's something that we need to pay attention to and take seriously, because they are the generation that's coming up. What is the future going to look? What is it going to look like when these 15-year-olds are 25? What are 20 years from now? They 35. What kind of world are we going to be living in if nobody cares about anybody and every man for themselves? It's never got anybody anywhere. What are we going to be doing? What is our society going to look like? This is real talk. This is real life. You take a life, you can't give it back. It was like when I was growing up, it was a code. You don't take nothing that you can't replace. You can't replace the life that you stole. And we just need to have more real conversations. We need to talk to our youth. We need to set up forums, and we need to really talk to them and find out what's going on. Why are you so angry? Why are you frustrated? Why are you upset? Why? What's really going on? What are the opportunities that you want to see for yourself? Because I, working for Children and Family Services, I came in contact with a lot of our youth. And when I worked there in the past, a lot of times our youth were just frustrated, tired, and they did not want to be a part of the lifestyles that they were involved in. They just felt no choice and no other option, and they felt pressure. So when we have their peers controlling the narrative, even more than their parents, that is a household issue. That is not being involved in your children's life. That's not paying attention and knowing what's going on in your children's lives. That's our issue as a community. We dropped the ball. I'm just saying, y'all. It's time for us to pick it back up, though, because it can be changed and it can be fixed. And a lot of this violence and stuff that we're seeing can be eradicated, but we have to do something about it. And we as the adults have to do something for our youth. We have to give them programs and opportunities and ways to make money, more than just youth, YOU. We have to give them other opportunities to make money. I just was watching the news the other day, and they were talking about how they're getting ready to make a change where more young people can get jobs earlier at different places and maybe even serve alcohol. And, like at places like at Applebee's and work at different restaurants like that, where they can create, because we have all these job openings and not enough people to fill them, or we do have people to fill them, but people just don't want to work the same, or they, COVID taught a lot of people they didn't have to work, the same, or they started their own businesses or working for themselves. But we have all these job availability, and we could be allowing our youth to work these jobs to earn money. And so they're currently looking at changing some of the laws on a federal level to allow children to work hours during the week. Like right now, I think that if you're under the age of 16, you can't work more than 2 hours during the weekday. I think you have to be 15 and older to work 2 hours during the weekday, 2.5 hours during the week. And I think it's like 4.5 in a day on the weekends, right? And so they're changing that. So they're going to give more opportunities, or they're looking at changing that. That's one of the things that, are, policies is being addressed here in Ohio, is that, the age that you can actually work and how many hours. They're going to look at that. But we have to put some different things in place to, our kids are doing stuff for income because A, maybe their households don't have it, or B, like as parents, we're just not doing what we're supposed to do. We're being selfish. And these kids ain't asked to be here. You brought them into this world, and you should be accountable for them, period. I mean, I'm just saying, you should be accountable for your children. We got to do better, y'all. We got to do better as a society. We got to start addressing some of our issues of anxiety. We got to start addressing some of our own issues that are trickling down and affecting our children. It's a lot of hurt and pain, unresolved issues, anger, frustration that we are dealing with as a community that is going unaddressed. A lot of mental health issues, a lot of, like I said, compassion, fatigue, a lot of PTSD. There's a lot of things, and it's a lot of anger and anxiety. And because people are dealing with so many different issues, it's making it hard to connect with people and see people as people and value people. We're having a hard time valuing one another, and you see it everywhere. You see it and you see it. It's all posted on social media. People are not valuing the relationships that they have. We're not valuing each other. We're not just being good human beings right now. As a society, we just need to do better as a people. Why? Why are we so angry? Why are we so frustrated? And we may have reasons. We have a lot of reasons to be all of those things, but we don't have a reason to not get help. It's help out there, it's resources out there. Even if it's just talking to your friend, even if you have to have somebody that you can be transparent with and be open and honest with about your feelings and your emotions and what you're going through. And we all are going through something, but it's causing us to not be able to be emotionally unavailable, to not have compassion for one another, and to just look at people and not value life. A life that you did not give, you definitely shouldn't take. Where is the value of life? When are we going to start valuing one another? Just think about that. What can you do in your community? What can you do in your family? What can you do in your neighborhood? Who are you talking to? Who are you influencing? Because that's what we should be doing. We should be influencing our young people to do positive things. And it comes from a place of children know when someone is being authentic and when somebody is being judgmental. And I'm going to just say this. We want to blame the mayor, but why not blame the church? Why not blame the church? Where is the church at? You are the forefront of help. You are, for lack of a better term, supposed to be the hospital for people who are hurting. You're supposed to be an ally for our youth, for our young people. You're supposed to be part of the community, people that are helping raise our children, help navigate through some of these issues and problems, and it's not happening. Why is that? Is it just about money now? But that's a whole nother issue, y'all. But we have to start holding our pastors, our community leaders accountable as well. Where are you at and why are you dropping the ball? Those are some of the things that we need to look at. Just think about it. So, I thank you for joining me tonight. I thank you for being on. I'm just saying, on a positive note, we have a lot of beautiful things. There's been a lot of graduations, a lot of young people graduating, a lot of young people going to college. We want to make sure that they have the type of future and the home to come back to that is not filled with violence. We don't want our kids coming home from the military or coming home from college for the summer and losing their life because our city is completely and totally unsafe. I mean, we don't want to bury our children and our children's friends. This is not what we want. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to bury someone that they love and they care about, especially due to violence, especially a senseless act of retaliation. Why are we not teaching our children how to conflict resolution? I remember, we used to have conflict resolution in school. We used to talk about lessons for life and things, how to resolve problems and role play. We had the DARE program in that talked about peer pressure and different issues. What would you do if somebody offered you drugs? What would you do if somebody, told you to commit a crime or steal something? These are some of the things that we talked about in our community that we're not really talking about anymore, that we should be talking about, that we should be addressing. We need to start having these difficult conversations and teaching our children at a young age, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, how to deal with problems and issues, because what's happening is a lot of our youth, they don't know how to deal with their emotions. They don't know how to deal with being angry and upset. They don't know, like, if they get into a fight or an argument or altercation, they feel like they got to take the person off the earth. If somebody hit them and they get into a fight, they don't let your physical wounds will heal. But when you take somebody's life, there's no coming back from that. And we have to teach our kids how to deal with conflict. The answer to being mad or angry or upset is not taking somebody off the face of this earth. It's just not the answer. So we're not giving them the skill set that they need to combat some of these issues, some of these problems. We have to do better. But on a positive note, I want to say congratulations to all of our children that graduated, the class of 2023. It's been so many wonderful graduations. I've enjoyed being on Facebook, being a part of, seeing all the kids graduate, go off to prom, do positive things. I know that one of my cousins, two of my cousins, three of my cousins, now that I think about it, graduated from high school. And then I also had another cousin, Dalen, who graduated from Ohio State University. Very proud of him. And I just wanted to give him a shout out too. He's doing big things. He's already got an internship. He's doing an amazing thing, already employed. So, we got young people that's out here doing positive things, and we should be able to focus on those things. But it's like, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. It's like we have so many children out here that are not, and we got to get those too. We got to get everybody on board. We have to have programming out here to help our kids. But I wanted to end on a positive note. I wanted to end on congratulating the 2023 class, the class of 2023, wishing you success and opportunities and just experiences as y'all go off to college. Just, it's an amazing thing. And I'm just so proud of each and every one of you, especially because you came out during COVID. You had a lot of adversity. You had to get, used to this new way of doing things. And you did it. You graduated through a pandemic. You made it through. You continued on. So congratulations. And I'm happy for you all. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you next week. Good night.